This lighting looks a little creepy. I don't know that that looks any better, but let's do this. I'm gonna rank every coaster and give them a review. Every drop and every hill, every launch and every loop. Rate it 1 to 10 and then we'll do it all again. Gonna rank and review every coaster. What's going on, everybody? My name is Mario. This is a channel all about amusement park type stuff, but mostly coasters. And today, in my never-ending journey to rank and review every single coaster I have ever been on, we're going to be talking about Thunder Run. This video was supposed to come out right after the Lightning Run review, literally just by chance, which would have been awesome, but you know, Velocicoaster exists, so what am I supposed to do? Not make a review on that? But regardless, here we are now. Real quick, I just wanted to say thank you to all of my subscribers. You guys are awesome. And to anybody that's not subscribed, you better subscribe, or a thundercloud will cover the sun for the rest of eternity. And we'll all freeze to death. But anyways, without any further ado, let's review. Now, Thunder Run is a wooden roller coaster at Kentucky Kingdom. It has a maximum height of 90 feet, a top speed of 55 miles per hour, a track length of 2,885 feet. Nope. A track length of 2,850 feet, and a ride duration of about 51 seconds from the end of the lift hill to the beginning of the final brakes. Now, those stats are obviously not impressive, and this ride really doesn't stand out in a park full of other great attractions, but I do still think it is a fun ride worth checking out. As far as the off-ride experience for this coaster goes, it looks fine. There's not really much theming, as is the case with pretty much all of the attractions at Kentucky Kingdom. Now, one operational thing that is worth pointing out is this attraction does only operate one train, but it's not really the most popular ride in the park, and when I visited, I had no problem walking right onto this coaster. Now let's talk about the on-ride experience. This coaster is nearly identical to Hurler at Carrowinds and the now defunct Hurler at Kings Dominion, but while these coasters do have their similarities, they have their fair share of differences as well. Compared to the two Hurler models, Thunder Run is a mirrored layout. Thunder Run is also slightly more compact, and the biggest difference is that Thunder Run doesn't have any trims at the bottom of the first drop. This leads to significantly better pacing than Hurler. I'll go ahead and put in a side-by-side of the two POVs so you guys can see that for yourself. And while I've only been on Thunder Run and neither of the Hurlers, I can pretty confidently say that Thunder Run is probably better. This also probably describes the clickbait thumbnail for this video. But let's continue on by talking about Thunder Run specifically. Now, as I mentioned before, this ride doesn't have any impressive stats, but it also doesn't really have any impressive elements. The entire ride, more or less, just consists of turns and airtime hills that don't really provide all that much airtime. There's not really moments of this ride that are particularly forceful. You don't get a ton of airtime. You're not really getting pushed into your seat. You're not getting thrown side to side all that much. But as I mentioned earlier, this ride does have really great pacing. So all of the elements that you are taking, you're taking with really good speed, and this ride does feel fast despite not having the fastest top speed. Now, I feel like a big reason for this great pacing is the fact that this ride has had some retracking and reprofiling done recently, or somewhat recently, which did adjust some of the shaping on some of the hills. For example, this moment right here, you can see the original layout had some violent looking airtime hills, but I can imagine that that probably wore the track down quite a bit. So putting on some sturdier, newer track definitely has to help with how the train navigates the rest of the course with that much more speed. It also makes for a really smooth ride experience, at least for a wooden coaster. You're still feeling like you're a little out of control, but your back is not hurting, your head's not hurting, you're not ending up in any sort of pain because of this ride. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the ride experience. There's not a whole lot to say about this ride. Now, as far as where to sit for this coaster, out of the front, middle, and back, I found my rides in the front to be the most enjoyable, and it just kind of adds to that perceived speed. I also think the airtime hills provided a little bit of floater in the front row, whereas in the back row, I didn't notice even the slightest bit of airtime at all. Could have just been my rides. And the middle is just the middle. So if you want to pick a So if you want to pick a specific row, go ahead and try out the front, I guess. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the ride experience. There's not a whole lot to say about this ride. It's repetitive, but it's fun. Time for a pros and cons list. Pros. It's smooth. I've said it a lot already, but really good pacing. And one thing that I haven't really mentioned yet, it's a really good ride for anybody. It's a really accessible attraction for somebody that maybe isn't the most seasoned coaster rider. This is a really good introduction into a little bit larger scale of wooden coasters, but it's still going to be pretty fun for those of us who have been on those more intense and more exciting roller coasters. As far as the cons go, there's not really that many. It's just kind of the fact that the elements are kind of just meh. They're melaments. But ultimately, it's still better than the Beast. Beast bad. Now to give this thing a rating out of 10, which doesn't affect how it places on my list. I'd give it about a 7 out of 10. Can't really fault it for anything. It could do more to be more exciting, but hey, it's a fun. It is fun. That's what I meant. Yep. And now to rank it, out of the 215 roller coasters that I have been on at the time of making this video, Thunder Run sits at number 58. It's not the top of the crop of the cream, but it is by no means a bad ride at all. It's sitting pretty just under Incredicoaster, and I feel like that's a pretty good fit, and it's obviously better than SLC's. And if you guys want to see the full, updated list of every coaster that I've talked about so far in this series, there's a link in the description below for that. Again, this is only coasters that I've ranked so far in this series. I've had multiple people asking me why there's so many gaps in between coasters. It's because I haven't talked about them yet. So subscribe and turn on notifications if you guys want to watch more in this series. Let me know if you guys have been on Thunder Run, and if so, what do you think about it? Make sure to give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, and of course, 2 thumbs down if you didn't like it. That way I know you didn't like it. Share the video if you're feeling extra fancy. And make sure to tune in next time where I'll be talking about Cedar Point Green Birdie Ride.